Hello, and welcome to Creative Writing. I am Armin Rose, and I will be your guide as we go through the content of this course. This is Part 12, Creating and Analyzing Drama, Scriptwriting and Theater Technique. The process of scriptwriting involves translating the story into a script that can be utilized by the actors to give life to the characters and to the technical committee or personnel who are in charge of creating the setting, the lighting, the costumes, and the makeup to bring the other elements of the story to life. The first step in scriptwriting is brainstorming your narrative. During this step, you have to decide what story to tell. Choose the genre or type of play you want to explore. Divide your story into three parts: the exposition, the rising action, and the resolution. Remember that the plot and the story are not the same thing. The story is what happens in the play, and the plot is the linking of events to appeal to the emotion of the viewer. In exposition, provide your viewers with a background. Answer the questions who, what, when, and where. The exposition should also establish the mood and the central conflict. In rising action, unfold the challenges that the characters have to face. Raise the tension and culminate in the highest peak known as the climax. In the resolution, release the tension from the climax. You have the freedom to choose how to end your story. Then, you need to develop and deepen your story. Where does the story take place? Who are your main characters? Who are your secondary characters? What is the conflict that the characters have to face? What is the incident that sets off the main action and leads to the climax? What journey will the characters have to take as they deal with the conflict? How will the story end? How will the conflict be resolved? How will this impact the characters? And then develop the plot to deepen the story. What are the characters' relationship to each other? In the central conflict, how do the characters interact and how does this affect them? How will the progression of the events take place? How will you build a continuous flow towards arriving at the climax and finally to the resolution? The second step in scriptwriting is to decide the structure of your play. There are several options to choose from. The one-act play is a type of structure which still has an exposition, rising action, and resolution, but only a simple type. It runs straight from beginning to end for about 15 minutes. A two-act play is the most common structure in contemporary theater. There is no exact rule as to the length of this type, but it commonly runs for at least half an hour. There is an intermission in between the acts that may take 15 minutes. During this time, the crew has time to change the set, costume, and makeup of the characters. Musicals mostly come in two acts. The three-act play is more complex and can run for 1 to 2 hours. For that span of time, it is very challenging to keep the attention and interest of the audience. The three acts are commonly divided as the exposition, rising action, and resolution. Each is long enough to fit into one act. The five-act play. Until the 18th century, most plays were divided into 5 acts. The 5 acts played specific functions in the overall structure of the play, but in performance there was not necessarily any clear separation between them. It begins slowly and auspiciously in the first act, building up the drama and tension in the second, third, and fourth acts, with a great climax in the third, and rapidly concluding with a return to pace and auspiciousness in the fifth act. The third step is writing the actual play. Here you will create an outline of your acts and scenes. You need to see everything in one picture. What you brainstormed in the first and second steps should be neatly laid out on a sheet of paper. Arrange the sequence of events, and do not forget to take into account the scenes where you need to change the set or the costume. These are essential when outlining your story. Once the outline is finished, you can write the actual play. Start with the dialogue. Evaluate if the dialogue sounds natural, robotic, or scripted. You can do this by recording your voice while reading the lines. Check on every sentence, phrase, or word, and work on using a more natural sentence construction. Always be mindful of the transitions of the conversations. Characters cannot jump from one topic to another. There should always be a smooth transition. Interruptions in dialogue can be helpful too. They help make the conversation sound more natural. Fragments can also be used. Interruptions and fragments are not allowed in formal writing, but there's an exception when it comes to creative writing. Do not be afraid to use them. Examples of fragments and interruptions are, "I totally get you, dude. Listen, man, just, just go. I mean, yeah, it's fine." Stage directions are added next. They are italicized and put inside brackets. Examples of stage directions are conversation clues. Example is the long and awkward pause. Physical actions. She hangs up the phone. He draws the sword with his left hand. Or emotional states. She picks up the towel in disgust or with intense fear. The script format. The front page contains the title, the author, the based on an original story, if any, by the original author, the director, a one-sentence summary, a tagline, and the date and place of the first performance. Here is an sample title page, the naughty list. The production page is optional. It contains the dramatis personae, or the list of all the major and minor characters that appear in the play with a short description of their role. The stage design, where it lists all the locations where the events of the play will take place. The properties, or the list of important objects to be used by the actors. And the technical elements, the list of any important or specific costume, makeup, lighting, sound effects, special effects, or stage equipment needed in the play. This is an example of a production page from Antigone. Next comes the body, or the actual play. It starts with an act and scene number written in all caps. A slug line. It is a one-line definition of the location and time of day, also in all caps. The set design. A narrative description of the scene before the first character delivers his line. This contains everything that should be seen on stage and is written in left-aligned paragraph form, in italics. And action blocks, which describes where each character should be standing on stage and what he should be doing before the first character delivers his line. This is a separate paragraph from the set design and is also in italics. Also included are the characters. The first time a character appears in a play, his name is written in all caps, with a brief description of who he is and what he looks like. Stage directions describe the actions of the characters while they deliver their lines and how these lines should be delivered. These are written italicized in brackets. And dialogue are the lines of speech of each character. A character's name appears in all caps above his dialogue. Dialogue is indented 2 tabs from the scene description or center aligned. The transitions shows where actors on stage will go out and where actors backstage will enter. It also tells if the scene has ended and when the curtains goes down. These are written in all caps at the right side of the page. The page number. All the pages of the script must have a page number half an inch from the upper right corner. Margins. Top, bottom, and right sides have a 1-inch margin. The left side has a 1.5-inch margin allotment for binding. Here is a sample of a script page. Critiquing your script. In critiquing your character, you ask the following questions. Who is the protagonist and what are his traits, weaknesses, and virtues? How do the supporting characters function about the relationship to the main character? Do they play particular roles to bring out certain aspects of the main character? Who is the antagonist and what are his traits, weaknesses, and virtues? Is he a character with a mixture of good and bad traits? How did the playwright develop the main character? Is it through actions or dialogue or comments from other characters? In critiquing the plot, these are the questions you should ask. What are the main elements of the plot? How many scenes is the play divided into? How can you summarize each scene? Do the actions progress clearly? How relevant is the plot to the audience? Does it engage and maintain interest? What sets the dramatic conflict and where does it begin? How connected are the events in the play? Was the resolution unavoidable or brought about by circumstances? In critiquing the theme, we ask the following questions. What does the play represent regarding morals and human significance? How do the elements interact in support of the universal significance? Does it highlight issues in real-life situations? How? Clearly show the views of the writer? How? Does it clearly reveal a conclusion, or is it left to the minds of the audience? An overall critique asks the following questions. Identify the type of play. Knowing this will give you an idea of what to expect with all the elements. Determine the theme. Is it a moral, a lesson, or a commentary? How is the theme implemented? Analyze for dramatic techniques. The elements of drama and theater must all intertwine in the play. What are its unique features? And finally, put it all together. Writers have different writing orientations. Knowing how to use dialogue, portraits, plot, description, point of view, characterization, language, and imagery is crucial to all storytelling. Developing these skills and a writer's unique voice is the central focus of this creative writing program. Not only is a solid knowledge of genre conventions necessary for success, avoiding cliché, stereotype, and imitation is harder when conventions themselves hang so heavy in the writing as they do in genre writing. It takes a strong voice and great skill to navigate genre writing with originality and depth. Although marvelous writers such as Rowling and Rice often in students to try their hands, doing the beginning stage writing, usually creating effective writing much more daunting. Agreement, write in traditional, modern, surrealist, post-modes are commonly to take your fan using to explore key edges of the and beyond as well with the posture. Stretch modes within everyone. No people have the same sense of family, of nature, culture, of party, death. You don't know about yourself or personal life, stories based on the news or something I subject and style diverse study of backgrounds, ages, imagined Finally,